there.
Is this going to actually work now?
See.
Hey, there we go.
Live on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
All right, looking like I'm crying over here. Promise, I'm only half crying.
So the two pieces of news are the Loki writer coming in for Kevin Feige, Star Wars, and then the rest of the High Republic news. The High Republic Part 2, 2021.
What's the Part 2 part? What do you mean, like the books that are coming?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the books that are coming this summer.
I was gonna say, yeah. I didn't know if they like announced some brand new ones or what, but I was gonna say we kind of know what's we'll get into it. I will be picking and choosing what I choose to read out of the High Republic, I do believe.
I got this one, and man, I think this book was better than The Light of the Jedi.
What is it?
A Test of Courage.
From who?
Justina Ireland. This is the middle grade book.
Mm-hmm. That's one I will be skipping.
I really enjoyed this one. Like, it was good.
Good, I hope so. And what's her other one coming out later?
She's got the next young adult book. It's in the link I sent you a while ago.
Yeah,
I'm going to pull it up. We're going to talk about it.
What's it called? Something. Yeah, I know the name of it, yeah. I don't know. Probably not even worth talking about.
I'm running the tweet, and then we'll go for it.
Take your time. I'm trying to get my eyeball to stop watering and actually stay open.
You sound terrible.
I sound terrible? That cough?
Mm-hmm.
That happens. That's just good breakfast. Apparently, I was pretty funny in our SCS discussion Friday because Heinz texted me and Snail emailed me to say that I cracked them both up. So, all right.
Brant messaged me and said, he was like, you had some very good points on Wonder Woman. And I was like, thank you.
Brent.
Clark?
From Fans Without Borders?
Yeah. Right? I have that right. Yeah. Borderless Fans and Marvel's
Fans
Podcast.
Without Borders. Mm-hmm. Fans Without Borders, Brent Clark. Friend of the network.
Okay. Did you at least watch the new High Republic trailer?
Saw bits and pieces of it.
Okay. Read more.
I don't know. There's some. We'll get into it. Into it.
Clay is supposed to be joining us. I sent him the link.
Okay. Clay was very nice and sent me a free copy of the first Star Wars or the High Republic comic.
Yep.
He sent me a digital copy of it. For whatever reason, I couldn't get it to load up and pull up on my thing, and I tried, but it was nice of him to email me the copy.
You have to download it to like your computer or something. So you have to actually download it.
I was gonna say I tried. Either way, I thought it was a very nice gesture.
Yeah, my goal is to read that by the next time we go.
I don't know. I did see that there was one person that wrote a comic that definitely messed up, and they came out and admitted it. They were like, "Yep, I messed up on how lightsabers work." They came out and admitted it, which is cool. It was kind of cute and fun. Like, I don't know, the Jedi like falls off the top of this big long rock cliff, and she takes her fucking lightsaber and sticks it in the wall and slides down it and stops and hangs by it. And that's not how lightsabers work. They'll just keep burning through that rock until she hits the ground. And like they came out and was like, "Yeah, my bad, I messed up." So it was just funny that they came out and admitted their mistake.
Yeah.
Which is good, I guess, if you're not a true Star Wars fan or you don't know and you're trying to do your thing, that's fine. At least you came out and was like, "Hey, my bad. Next time I know."
Mm-hmm. Look at this artwork, though.
That's not for me. I don't like the little kiddish cartoon Disney-fied art. That's not my style or tempo.
But look, it's a light whip.
Oh yeah, there's remember them in Clone Wars? You didn't watch Clone Wars, did you? Yeah, you didn't watch those in Clone Wars, did you?
The OG?
No, the one that's canon, Clone Wars. There's a planet where there's a feline race and slavery still involved there, and all her men have lightsaber whips, and Anakin actually uses it to go up against somebody's lightsaber. I think Dooku's lightsaber. I do remember that. Yeah, he uses that, and like he actually learns how, and I thought that was cool shit back then. And I think, isn't in Knights of the Old Republic, isn't there like a Jedi that uses the whip like that and it's pretty good?
There's, I never did anything with Knights of the Old Republic.
Okay.
But there was one in
Legends or something. Yeah, okay. I was gonna say I didn't know if you'd read it in Legends or something.
No, there's a Sith who uses one and she kills Mara Jade. That's how Mara Jade dies.
Spoilers. I never read that.
Oh wait, no. Mara dies by Jason Solo, and but she fights a Sith.
Jason kills a ant. Jason killed his aunt when he went to the dark side. Holy shit! I gotta read this Heir of the Empire. I need to get into the old legends of Luke and his family.
And then, spoiler alert, but Jason is killed by Jaina, his twin sister.
Oh my god! And I know there's an Anakin Solo, and he comes along. He's really powerful in the Force and stuff. And see, I need to get into all that legends. I need to. We're recording. We're live. If anybody's watching us, hello.
Yes, we're just shooting the shit, whatever you want to call it.
If you're watching us later and you're waiting for the show to start, you're like, these idiots over here just talking. Sorry, this is what we do.
But let's get into it, shall we?
Sure.
And 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Star Wars Alliance podcast, your home on the Geek Ultimate Alliance podcast network for any and all things Star Wars. I'm one of your hosts, Katie Gilshap. Oh, nope, that's not my last name.
Nope. Try again. Take two. Rewind.
I'm one of your hosts, Katie Rinchler, and with me, as always, is Nathan. Nathan, how are you doing today?
We are all the Republic. That's how we're doing today. We are all the Republic. We are all the light.
Yes.
No, Katie Rinchler. Good to be here. Good to talk to you. Some things seem to have changed since the last time we had an episode.
Yes, I eloped.
Yeah, I see that. I see.
Yes, I did it. I eloped.
Ready to talk.
It was great.
Congratulations, by the way. Congratulations. Had to pry her away from her honeymoon just to get her to come out here, guys. So you know what's up with that.
No comment.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan, why don't you give us the podcast spiel?
We are members of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network, where you can find a plethora of shows. Sometimes shows a day. There's one for every day of the week, sometimes two. We have World's Finest True Believers, a DC Alliance, a Marvel Alliance, a Star Wars Alliance, a Slice of Film, a Ranger Alliance, Weird Comics, DC and Marvel, and a Super Civil Servants podcast. A variety of them go live. You can look in that. You can find out everything you need if you look in our little notes part and all that stuff. It gives you where everybody's at. No need in holding up everything. If you guys are here, I'm sure you know where it's at by now.
No, if you've been here for a long time, we appreciate you listening. And if
it's your first time, welcome.
Yeah,
welcome.
We do have a Patreon where $1 is basically the tip jar. It's your way of just saying, hey, we appreciate you, and we appreciate you as well as anyone who listens and donates to the podcast because you help keep the lights on around here.
Keeps the
lasers $5 tier. Do what?
You said keeps the lasers charged. I'm trying to think.
Keeps the lasers charged. Yep. That's a good one. That's a good one for Star Wars. Yeah. The $5 tier gets you ad-free early episodes, ad-free episodes, early episodes, and exclusive episodes. So those are the only 2 tiers we currently have on Patreon.
And I was gonna say, I know that there are some amalgam chats up there. I know myself personally and Travis Hines, and I know this is a Star Wars podcast, but we both grew up in the 90s and stuff. And we both really love Dragon Ball Z. So we just took like an hour to shoot the shit on Dragon Ball Z and stuff. So if that was ever your thing, if you're a kid of that, that's up on Patreon. It'll be there. It's just an exclusive superhero discussions. Like I said, I know there was an amalgam chat. There was a Batman You Complete Me. There's getting to be some good content up there. And there are some early episodes of things you can get without ads. So if you're thinking about it, there's a few things on there that are exclusive that might push you over the edge. So you just get $5 for just this month. And if you don't like it, to hell with us.
Yep. Speaking of which, if you don't mind, if you haven't already, leaving a review on your favorite podcatcher of choice. It does help put us in the feeds of other podcast listeners. So whatever you've got to say, we appreciate it. So.
And a thumbs up, and I know it sounds weird. Like I'm not in the YouTube world, but like a thumbs up on this video apparently does lots of good stuff. Or if you share it and stuff. So whether you're listening on a podcatcher or on YouTube itself, just any way of liking or sharing or whatever is greatly appreciated. Or thumbs down, it's whatever. It doesn't matter. Just do something other than just be a voyeur.
Yep.
And we really appreciate it.
Joe Gennaro, one of the hosts of Ranger Alliance, wanted to say hi, but he's not staying because he hasn't finished part 1 of Light of the Jedi, which is our main topic of discussion today, but we'll be getting to that just a little bit later. We've got some news to talk about first. So, first up, last thing on the podcast spiel, this podcast does have ads.
Oh, yeah.
And Nathan and I will try to give you a warning in advance before we go into it, but we just want to say right now that we don't get to choose who the ads are from, nor how loud the episode. We get to choose how loud the episode is. We don't get to choose how loud the ads are, and then we also don't get to choose how many times you listen to the same ad in a row. So,
right,
we appreciate
we have no
you
choice.
Listening to ads.
Yeah.
So, with that, our first set of news came 2 days ago with Michael Waldron being announced as the writer for Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie. What do you think about that?
His writing credit is for Loki season 1 and maybe season 2 if it gets leaked green. He's working on Loki, correct? I think that's what the article said.
And I think this article states that Loki's going to get multiple seasons. So it sounds like he's staying around.
Does he I don't know his pedigree, but obviously Kevin Feige likes what he did on Loki at least enough to say I'd like to see what you can pin for me. So I think that's a good sign. But like I said, I don't know anything else he's done.
So it looks like he did Rick and Morty. He's a writer on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Okay. I mean, Rick and Morty, he's won my heart right there. So that's one of the greatest shows of all time. And I know that's, a lot of people are saying, but man, I love that show. So he's already won my heart with just that.
Well, he produced that. He wrote one episode, The Old Man and the Seat, which came out in 2019. I don't know if that rings any bells.
They all crack me up. I'll watch it.
And then Heels. I don't know anything about that. So
what is it?
Heels.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
Two brothers and rivals, one a villain or heel in the ring, and the other a hero or face, war over their late father's wrestling promotion, vying for national attention in a small town, Georgia.
Yes. Okay.
Small
That
town
is
Georgia.
right up. That is right up my alley. Okay. Everything that he's got so far just screams Nathan. So I am. Yes. Let's go. I'm more excited now.
I don't know much about him. Obviously, we'll see Loki later this year for it. But Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie, it was announced maybe almost a year ago, I would think.
I want to say maybe end of 28 or 2019. Like, yeah, I want to. It's been end of 2019.
It's been a little
I want to
bit.
say it's been quite a while, and I haven't heard much about it since then.
September 2019.
Yeah, see, I knew. I was gonna say it's been quite a while, and I don't really remember any news or hearing any rumors even after that. So
Yeah.
not that I thought it was dead, but it's just it's been very dormant for quite a while. I think it's interesting. We've got movement coming now with it, though.
Yeah. So, I mean, that shows that it's kind of sticking around. Heck, that's more news than we've heard about Rian Johnson's Star Wars trilogy. So,
I think there's a reason for that. So, it's neither here nor
I
there.
think he
Nobody
would
wants
do
to hear me.
well in his own trilogy where he wasn't bound by other constraints. Don't you think?
Yeah, but whatever. Put him in the High Republic era. He makes the same movie. We might all absolutely love it. But the thing is, he's already got a stained legacy in Star Wars. For some people, other people, he's a crazy hero. But I'm just saying, right now, even if he comes into another part of the world, there's going to be people that automatically put their nose up at it just because he's like, well, I'm not doing this movie. Yeah, whatever. I'm not going to get into it. You know what I'm saying? But yes, I do believe if he would have came out and his first movie would have been High Republic and he made the same type of movie with the same, I'm going into purposely subvert expectations, people probably would have loved it. It could have been people would have been like, this High Republic's the shit. But I don't know. I think what's done is done. Unfortunately, we can't go back retroactively. And I think we still need more time as a Star Wars community before he returns. So, I think we still got another 5 years or so before we even maybe entertain, other than maybe he does an episode of The Mandalorian, just because Dave and John want to go, come on, guys, we're all family, come on. But other than that, I don't know.
Yeah.
We got a while.
We'll see what happens.
We will.
But the next bit of news that we have is about the High Republic as its own self, which we are getting into today because the first books dropped last Tuesday, January 5th, as well as the first comic dropped January 6th. So,
okay, I was wondering about that. The comic came out the very next day. I thought okay. That answers that question.
So number one, we got a new launch trailer, which dives a little more deep into some fan art on some art that was drawn for the series, as well as some of the future books, as well as diving into the different phases that we're going to get with this series. So I'm going to cycle down the StarWars.com news article about the panel, which was January 4th. So the first thing on the list is the trailer. I thought it was pretty good. Nathan, I know you said you saw bits and pieces.
I saw pieces of it. I didn't actually watch the whole thing. I saw a lot of clip art from, their artwork and stuff in there. There's a lot of very pretty drawings in this. Let me tell you, there's somebody working on this art that's doing a real good job. Because there are some really good looking pieces in that.
Yeah. The first thing up is Gray talked about Into the Dark, which releases February 2nd, I think. So Into the Dark, she wanted to introduce us to some new galactic pilots, which include, I'm gonna totally mispronounce these, but it's Leo, Geode, and Affy. And
Hulu and Dewey? Did we just name
Leo,
Scrooge
Geode,
McDuck's
nephews? And Affy. Okay. And with Leo, she was looking for a Han Solo, but didn't want to just recreate Han Solo. So instead, she created a Matthew McConaughey in Star Wars.
All right.
This is how she described it. Because I actually listened to this panel.
Which Matthew McConaughey? Is it the one where he's like, I get older and they stay the same age? Or is it like the romantic comedy Matthew McConaughey? Which McConaughey are we talking about here?
I want to share this. Let me...
Please I don't know how. Days to confuse McConaughey. Please.
Share this screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
I can. Oh, I see it.
So this is Leo.
Okay. I see it. He looks like Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. So this
I
is
could
literally
look. If he pulls it, if he takes that belt buckle off and holds it up to his lips, it's definitely Matthew McConaughey from Days Confused. All right. Oh yeah.
So we'll get Leo in Into the Dark, which releases next month. So, and then these are the 3 pilots: see Leo, Geode, and Affy.
Huey, Louie, Dewey.
And so the next thing up.
The fuck are those? Whoa. What?
So these are in Daniel Jose Older's middle grade novel that's coming in July.
The Gremlins are coming.
The what?
The Gremlins. You've never seen Gremlins?
No.
Oh, there's a slice of film that needs to come up.
So these work with one of the characters in Daniel Jose Older's middle grade novel, which is coming in July. This is a monster hunter who is being introduced in.
We've seen that species before.
Kevin Scott's book.
Okay.
Her name is Ty Yorick. Okay. And this is the Jedi that works with the Gremlins. Von Brax.
The large lady. She's a Jedi.
I think this is a dude.
She's a Jedi. What?
But yes, this is a Jedi.
I think that's a lady. I'm pretty sure that's a chick.
I listened to the panel. I'm fairly certain this is a dude, but at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter.
That's a very
You're not going to read this book anyways.
Very feminine man. Okay. No, sorry. Go ahead. I didn't.
You're not going to read this book anyways. So
if it's young adult, you're probably right. I usually tend to skip the younger skewed books.
Well, this is middle grade. Into the Dark is a young adult book. So there's 3 different books. There's the adult, the young adult, and the middle grade.
Okay. So that's maybe. Sorry, I didn't mean to hold it up. I honestly thought that was a lady. That's a very fine looking man.
There was another character that is in the Daniel Jose Older IDW comic, I think it is, which comes out in February. His name is Buckets of Blood.
His name's what?
Jedi Healer.
What's his name?
Buckets of Blood.
Okay. Buckets of Blood, the healer. All right.
Okay, wait. I gotta find this picture. You gotta see this.
Okay.
Buckets of Blood.
Check it out here. Sorry to everybody who's just listening.
Yes.
She's providing visual aids for myself.
Oh, I can't find. If you're interested in this, you can also go on YouTube and see what we're.
You can also do the Googs or come to YouTube. I hope you're wrong about a character named Buckets of Blood as the fucking healer, because what?
Where is the picture? Oh my gosh. This was hysterical when he was going through it. I'm so mad. Okay. Anyways. Yes, he's a healer. And he's inspired by one of the people Daniel actually met who was an EMT who called himself Buckets of Blood because it was his job to keep the blood in the person, so he was saving buckets of blood. I told that story completely wrong, I'm fairly certain, but if you're interested, go listen to the panel. It's on Star Wars' YouTube.
Sure.
It was great. So yeah, this description. So with Leo, Gray envisioned a Matthew McConaughey type for one of her smugglers, and yeah, see here it is. Older used a colleague's radio call sign from his days as a paramedic to help him craft a character known as Buckets of Blood. You're gonna want to hear him tell the story, like it says right here. It was a pretty good story.
Okay.
One of the other things announced from the panel was that the Star Wars Insider serialized fiction was going to continue. So Charles Soule published the first one in December. He's actually got the next one on his list as well. And then Justina Ireland and Cavan Scott will be pinning the next two respectively. So one of the things that I was super excited about is The Monster of Temple Peak, which is a graphic novel from a new publisher who's joining the publishing initiative. It's by Cavan Scott. And it's got art from Rachel Stott. For me with comics, I hate serialized fiction, which is why I've never really gotten into comics because I don't like waiting. I'm like, give me a chunk of material that's going to hold me over to the next one. And so like this graphic novel is right up my alley, I feel like. So, and it goes into the story of Ty Yorick.
I think we found the reason why you don't necessarily like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think we just came to the root of your problem right there. I don't like serialized telling. Okay. You don't like to wait. You want to know. I get it. All right, move on. That's neither here nor there. But if you're a long time listener to the network, I think we just got some pieces to drop into place.
I'll make sure to tell Brent to listen to this episode because you said that it would give him some explanation. So this sounds really interesting. Cavan's actually he's got the comic, he's got the next adult book, which is entitled The Rising Storm, which if you finished, or I'm not going to say it, we'll get into that when we discuss part 2 and part 3. Because Nathan, how far have you read?
I'm in part 2. I'm on chapter 31.
Okay. Yeah.
30, 32.
Once you get to the end of it, we can discuss further. But I actually finished this one before you did.
As I say, I'm in part 3 or 4. I can't remember. I just skipped it to the next part, but I'm on 31 or 32 on the chapters because I know 18 is part 1. Like the first 18 chapters is part 1.
Yep.
So I don't know how far, but I'm on 31 or 32. I can't remember.
Yep. And I'm trying to remember from the discussion, but I don't think this is a Jedi. Ty, I don't think they're a Jedi.
Why she got a lightsaber then?
I think we'll find that out. But the way they talked about her in the panel, it didn't sound like she was a Jedi.
Okay. They better find. All right.
This is Justina Ireland's new book. It goes into the story of Vernestra Rowe and I can't remember the other guy's name. I think his name's Emery. But they're talked about in A Test of Courage. And this is kind of the next part in their story. Justina Ireland did clarify because a lot of people were thinking this is Avon Starros. This is not Avon Starros. This is a new character. Avon Starros is in A Test of Courage, but she's not in this one. So this book is called Out of the Shadows. So this is a young adult book. Wreath Silas. I'm sorry. That's not the same Padawan. That's a different Padawan. Interesting. Okay. Sorry, I got distracted by what the description was. This is why I shouldn't do this, but I feel like this is a good visual aid.
We have visual aids, huh? We have visual aids.
So this is the cover of the newest middle grade book. It's called Race to Crash Point Tower. And it's by Daniel Jose Older. The first part of it is actually in A Test of Courage, if anyone's interested. The actual book, not the audiobook, because I did both. And the synopsis is not in the back of the audiobook or at the end. And then we're actually getting a manga.
What?
A High Republic manga. It's called The Edge of Balance.
Yeah, their first backwards book. What's up?
Yeah. In addition to comics, the High Republic will include an original graphic novel in the manga format from Viz Media. So this is another publisher joining in. So Justina Ireland and Shima Shinya are writing.
I'm just now starting my first venture into backwards books, and I've got one from Big Viz Media over here. Fuck.
Yeah. So this is the first in a new series. It's got like the one on it. I didn't notice that at the beginning. I thought it was just going to be a one and done kind of thing, but no, this is actually going to be its own series too. So, and they did clarify in the panel, because there were several points where it was kind of asked, do you need to read everything, or can you read one thing to kind of like tell you the full story? And according to Miguel Siglain, who's kind of the Lucasfilm Story Group lead on this publishing of it, they set it up to where you could read like the Marvel comic, and it would tell one story, but it complements the full story. So like if you only wanted to read the middle grade books, then that would tell one complete story. If you wanted to read the young adult books as well, it would complement the middle grade novel books. So the same thing goes for anything up here, because obviously we've only got so much time in the universe. You're not going to be able to read everything. So it's nice to know what you can like pick and choose of it. So
yes, there are definitely some stops I will be skipping along the way. Just based on actually many things, but so far so good with this first book. You know what I mean? Like so far, like there's, and we'll get into it. I have some actually just minor nitpicks, but other than that, it's keeping me pretty enthralled. You know, I'm not finding myself turning it off. It's not like Alphabet Squadron where I couldn't even bring myself to listen to it, slug through. Like I've been going. You know what I mean?
This book does have one advantage to it in the audio format. It's got Mark Thompson.
Yes, and we will get into that too once we talk about Chancellor So and Mark Thompson's choice. Man, I love the man, but boy, howdy does it sound like Chancellor So smokes 3 packs of Liggets a day. I don't know why he chose that voice for her, but I was literally caught off. What? Really? Oh, all right. She talks like this, and you come over here. Whoa.
But for reference for what Star Wars Alliance is going to be covering, we're going to be covering the adult books and the young adult books. So
even if I don't read them, Katie will talk about them, and I will sit here and let her bounce all her shit off of me.
Yes, I plan on talking a little bit about A Test of Courage today.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, sure.
But that's the plan.
Whatever you say might reel me in to actually get into something. You never know, because that has happened before, especially when Katie talked about a book, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to give it a chance, and it's worked out. So.
And it's only 4 hours on the audiobook. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so it is definitely a young adult, young reader or whatever. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
So, And the other thing that they mentioned during the panel is Christina Ariel will be leading a YouTube show that's bi-monthly, and it'll be taking fans on a deep dive.
The monthlies.
Yeah.
As we know, it's the sexiest of monthlies.
But it's going to be a Star Wars: The High Republic show. So behind the scenes. So I'm excited about that.
Behind the scenes. Okay, I guess just kind of giving you like showing people working on their books and maybe the artwork or stuff. I don't know, just
maybe doing that.
I feel like behind the scenes, like I feel like we're gonna see like the cast on, you know, doing hijinks in between takes. That's just what I think of when I hear that, you
know. The last item that they talked about was that basically how long the High Republic will last in terms of our years for publishing. So they actually have broken it down into 3 phases. The first phase is Light of the Jedi. The second phase is Quest of the Jedi. And then the third phase is Trials of the Jedi.
Trials of the Jedi.
Yeah. So Miguel said that phase 1 would go into 2022, but it would not end so we're gonna have probably a year and a half, I want to say, at this point.
Is this like a 6-year venture? Jeebus.
Yeah, I would say this is gonna go into 2025 at least.
Okay, all right. I didn't know we was in for that kind of. All right. I guess. I mean, if at least they got a plan. I'll say this: they supposedly have a plan. Like they all went in there, hammered it out, and said, "Okay, here's our beginning, here's our end," and now they're just filling in the middle. So if I'm going to give Lucas, I give a lot of shit on the stuff they don't have plans for. So I'm going to give them credit on having a plan with this. So at least, like I said, that's good. That makes me feel better about it, that all these pieces fit into their grand plan. You know what I mean? Moving forward, that's a plus I could say for them.
Yep. And I'm sorry, I've been calling Michael Siglain Miguel Siglain. I'm so sorry. It's Michael Siglain. Lucasfilm Publishing Creative Director.
Did you just fancy it up? Is that what you were just trying to fancy it up? It's Miguel.
I'm so sorry. The last time I called him Miguel, I was like, wait, am I sure that's right? No, it's not right. It's Michael Siglain. Please excuse me.
She was just fancying it up, guys.
That's embarrassing. The other thing that's not listed on here is, so we know what Justina Ireland's doing next. We know what Kevin Scott's doing next. Justina has the next young adult book in the main manga. Kevin Scott has the graphic novel, the next adult book, a comic, and one of the Star Wars Insider serialized fiction items. Daniel's got the IDW comic, and the middle grade book. We actually didn't get anything on what Claudia Gray is doing next. We did get that Charles Soule has the next serialized fiction.
Hopefully not making Kisses of Gratitude.
She didn't write that book, okay?
Okay.
She didn't write that book.
She did too. She wrote the novelization.
No, she didn't. That was Ray Carson, bitch.
Oh, damn it. You're right. You got, okay. All right, never mind. I retract my previous statement, and I'm sorry. So I apologize. I thought I had it right, but I retract and I apologize. And please don't hate me. Both authors.
So Charles Soule is writing the next serialized fiction, but we don't know what he's doing after that in this initiative. And we don't know what Claudia Gray is doing after Into the Dark. So
does it like you said, Justina and that cabin, they already got like 2 or 3. Does it say what Charles or her? Well, it doesn't say her. Does it say what his next book is, or is it in the dark right now?
They're both in the dark right now.
Okay, so we know what 2 of them are doing. We don't know what 2 of them are doing.
We know what 3 of them are doing, and we don't know what the other 2 are doing. There's 5 authors. So
okay.
So it'll be interesting to see what they did. Like Kristen Baver. I'm sorry, Kristen. Who's from StarWars.com. She does a lot of the interviews and everything. She did ask Claudia what she was doing next, and Claudia was like, I can tell you that I'm working on something, but I can't tell you what I'm working on. So
that is what every great author says for a tease. So I get it.
Yep.
Can I just or go ahead, Katie? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, and then she asked the same question to Charles, and Charles was like, I have the next serialized fiction, and he talked a lot about that, but didn't say what else he was writing. So I wouldn't imagine he's done for any.
And we got a long time with these 5 authors going into it. Man, can all of them just no social media? Just all of you, just shut all your social medias down, because no one gives a shit, and there's already people turning. I'm not going to get into neither here nor there, but there's not some great optics already, and we just started this, and let's just everybody put social media away for 2021. Let's do that. Okay, let's just put that shit away and be all great and nice.
I think the world would be a lot better place without social media.
Oh God, the worst thing that anybody ever did was like, hey, let's give everybody a voice and comment sections in video places on things. Yeah, that's a great idea. No, that was a fucking terrible idea. People on Twitter, all they do is exist because they don't have any validation in their life, and they don't find any validation in their life, so they glom onto any tragedy or anything that they think they can make a difference on. And I'm sorry that your life is that terrible that you got to be like that. And I wish you the best. And I know I just brought us way down, so I'm going to shift gears and let's go right back into it. I'm sorry. But basically in 2021, stop social media. And I hope all these authors stop it already. Fucking stop it.
On that note, let's take an ad break and come back.
Sorry, I can't help you with notes on Apple Watch.
Thanks, Siri.
What? Whoa.
Yes.
Is that your own Jarvis?
Yeah, it's my Apple Watch.
Uh-huh.
He thinks I'm talking to him. I forgot, when you raise your arm, you're technically telling Siri, hey, I'm waiting for you to do something for me. So I don't use it for that purpose. I need to figure out how to turn it off. So
Yeah. James Bond and a Power Ranger all in one. It's your little fancy little wrist gadget.
all right. And 3, 2, 1, we're back.
Mhm.
Thanks for listening, y'all. We appreciate it, don't we, Nathan?
We do.
I thought Clay from Ranger Alliance was going to join us, but apparently not. So, before we get into the Light of the Jedi, I do want to talk a little bit about a test of courage. I'm going to try and keep it spoiler free, but I make no promises. I thought it was very good. It was a very easy read. I really enjoyed the character of Vernestra Rowe, who is a Miralan Jedi Knight at the age of 16. And she's going to Starlight Beacon and basically babysitting, making sure nothing bad happens to these two one is a senator's kid and the other is an ambassador's kid. And she's basically going all along to make sure nothing bad happens. And they end up on this wild adventure.
She's a Jedi Knight at 16 already?
Yep.
Okay.
She's very powerful. Agrees to take on a Padawan.
What?
Yeah.
Kids teaching kids. All right. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
At that point, I think they'd done a really good bond together and kind of figured it out.
I'm just kidding. Shit.
I know. The actual hardcover book has some incredible artwork in it. I know, Nathan, you said you didn't like
it's not aimed for me though. It's not that I don't like it. It is good for what it is, but once you said it was a young adult or middle grade, it makes more sense. But I do like it. It looks good, but I prefer the less Disneyfied version. But it makes sense. That's the age they're going for, so I get it. That totally makes sense.
Yeah. This is her basically crumpling a door so they can get out, because basically their ship explodes that they're going on, and hyperspace has been shut down for where they're trying to travel. So
spoiler for Light of the Jedi.
Not necessarily.
We haven't even talked about it yet, so yes, spoiler for Light of the Jedi, but okay.
So it gets really interesting. There's acid rain involved, a light whip, which I was really, really thrilled for. Yeah. And how Vernestra actually decides to alter her lightsaber to become a light whip is really interesting, and it has some thought-provoking items on
that's the main character's new light. She turned it from a sword to the whip thing.
Yep, she had a vision from the Force that said she needed to alter her lightsaber in this way.
Fucking 16-year-olds, of course she just wants to be different and trendy and blah, blah, blah. Just kidding. Just kidding. She wants to buck the trends at 16, of course. Typical teenage kid.
I really enjoyed it, and I thought Vernestra is a great character, and I'm excited to follow her into Out of the Shadows. So.
Okay. Well, good. I mean, I'm glad you liked it. I mean, you said it's a really easy read, right? Because it's 4 hours on audiobook, and it's a pretty quick, clean read on in hardcover.
Yeah, I didn't see any problems with the writing. Justina had some great success with. Hey, Clay is joining us. Admit.
Hello, Clay.
Hey, Clay.
What is going on?
Did you hear me talking about you? Oh, he's still connecting to audio.
There we go.
Clay, did you hear me talking about you?
I did, and I was like, "Oh crap, I gotta go." So, oh man,
give me 1 second.
So I was just talking about a test of courage. I know the other people said they weren't reading it, but I was like, I'm gonna do my best to read the young adult, and the middle grade. I don't know if I'll
I want to read it. With the amount of content that Star Wars is wanting to put out, I think it's going to be smarter to try to see what kind of timeline it is and then pace myself to do it. Because,
go ahead.
The next book
is supposed to come out in February, which is Into the Dark. And then the one after that is supposed to come out end of June. So
Okay, so not too far off. Like,
Yeah.
it's not so close together.
mhm.
Because my thing was the audiobook for Light of the Jedi, okay, $35 or so, $34, whatever. And then
Wait, pause. Might I recommend if you subscribe to Audible, you get, first of all, they'll give you 2 credits, you get 2 free books, and it's $15 a month for a book.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you want to start getting, if you're gonna, instead of paying $35 for one book and you're thinking ahead, they'll give you 2 for free for just signing up. And then you get, for $15 a month, you get 1 book regardless. It's a subscription. You can change it, pause it, whatever. Just that's for all the listeners and yourself. Because if I was paying $35 a time, I'd be going, holy shit, when's these released? Like, but I do the subscription.
That's what I mean,
on
because
Audible.
the young adult book I looked into, and that audio is only 21. And then I get the review copies of the comics, so I'm able to read
so
those.
cool.
I actually sent it to you.
You did, but I didn't know you got them like that though. I didn't know you got review copies. I just thought you were being a nice guy. I was like, here, man, which I appreciate.
No, we because of our great partnership with Jim from Weird Science. I'm actually on his Marvel podcast. He actually sent me the review copies of them. They actually sent them in late, so that way nobody could read it ahead of time.
Get Jim on here.
Yeah, so
need to get him in the mix.
Jim is a huge classic Star Wars fan. But he also, and he would love me even saying this, he has like a hard case of ADHD, so he loves the content, but he can't pay attention. So he made it, I think, halfway through The Mandalorian season 1. He's like, well, that was fun. I can't finish it because I'm too distracted. But with this, I'm loving the way that they some people are calling it Marvelization of Star Wars, but I just love the structure of how they're like, hey, we're going to put out content. So that's what I love about it.
I would rather there be a plan than everybody fly like let a fucking relay race like the sequel trilogy was. So if they want to call that Marvelized, I'm with you. Go ahead and Marvelize it, because I like that there's a plan, that they know what they're doing.
Oh man,
I would much prefer that.
So, but yeah, if y'all are interested in just kind of diving into the High Republic, like I think this is a great book, and it's suited well for the audience that it's intended for. So
if you got a 10, 12-year-old, for in that age range, that's a good book to put in their hands to get them invested or to get them.
Hey, I saw that it had pictures, so it's already got my attention.
Yeah, exactly.
The artwork is pretty good. But yes, I do think it would be suited well for a 10 to 12-year-old. It doesn't go in depth into like the violent aspects or anything, because there are a few monsters and a few bad guys in this book. But Justina talked about that in like the panel and was like, yeah, if you ever see a character getting eaten, it's because of the age range, we couldn't like describe it more intuitively because we didn't want to like harm the kids.
But at the same time, I mean, I'm sure kids
would
have
love that
watched.
if somebody's getting eaten. If they were like this,
no, you can't like dismember him, so you can't describe it graphically.
You can't describe it graphically, but I'm sure kids have watched freaking Return of the Jedi with Boba Fett going into the Starlight Pit. Like, I mean, you can kind of describe it.
What about Empire and Luke cutting the fucking the abominable snowman's arm off, and you know what I mean? Like
or even
some dismemberment. Actually, there's a hand cut off in every movie almost. We got Anakin, Luke, that fucking abominable snowman. They're dismembering people right and left in these movies.
Exactly. The kids can handle it. They'll be fine.
Yeah. We got Ewoks in there. We got teddy bears and body parts. Whatever. We got the best of both worlds.
Yes.
Yeah. So we want to talk about Light of the Jedi.
Sure.
Yes,
we do.
Clay, did you get all the way through part 1?
I am currently, of course, no spoilers. I'm currently on chapter 26, so I'm on part.
Okay, good. So you're past part 1 then. Good.
Yeah, I'm
Good.
in the middle of part 2, and I'm on my way to part 3. I did not think I was going to enjoy this as much as I do. Like,
So,
honestly.
for reference, for anyone,
Clay, I will agree with you. I think that's a good. I will tend to agree. I didn't think I was going to enjoy this book as much as I had. And I told Katie before we started, like it's been kept me enthralled and kept me like I'm like, okay, I can do another chapter. I can do another chapter. You know what I mean? Like I think that's a good.
I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people that like when you start
it does not want
like
to
a chapter,
focus.
especially like when like I'm doing things around the house, I can't do anything else unless I finish that chapter. Because I don't like to stop audio in the middle of
me either.
Like a chapter or anything, because then I'll come back and I'll be like, wait, what was going on?
Yeah.
And so I
I'll have to rewind like a minute and like I'm the same way. I'd rather go chapter to chapter.
Exactly.
So for reference, for anyone who's thinking about reading this or wanting to get into this, we're going to cover the first 18 chapters plus the first interlude, which covers part 1 today. And then in 2 weeks, we will cover parts 2 and parts 3. If you have not read The Light of the Jedi to this point and want to avoid spoilers, now would be the time to leave and come back when you finish reading part 1. If not, we're going to get really in depth with this and kind of give you guys some ideas of what's going on with this book. And yeah. So
I told but before Katie gets into it, I just want to say, Clay, like this, it's not in the first part, but I will just say overall, without getting into it, this is the most drug use in the Star Wars universe in a book that I have ever experienced in my life. Like I'm listening, I'm going, what? Really? Yeah. Like I was like, whoa, all right.
No, and I think that's what I find intriguing is because they're not shying away from adding some of that stuff in there. You know?
There's some straight up, yeah. You know, and it's not spice. Like they're inventing new drugs for this universe. Like it's I was shocked. But okay, that doesn't have anything to do with part 1. I just wanted to get that out there because I did find like I even text Katie. I was like, what the hell? Most drug use I've ever seen in Star Wars.
And I agreed with you, but in the instance, I realized that I listened to the first part of this while I was working, and there's some parts where I just like glazed over. My intent is to reread this before we go into part 2 and part 3. I'm waiting on my hard copy to come in because I ordered the fancy copy. But
I will probably order a hard copy of this as well. I'm unless something goes terribly wrong at the end and I end up hating the book. Like the books that I really enjoy, I end up getting the hard copy of. So
yeah. Clay, what did you think about part 1?
Part 1, I will say everybody most of the people in our circles were saying that they weren't very intrigued by it, that it was kind of boring. I kind of liked the intensity of it, to be completely honest. With how dramatic it was, there's a little bit of mystery because we still don't know what the frick is going on, you know? So I was very entertained.
Don't know the catalyst.
Yeah. You know, I was still very entertained. I was still very intrigued in the characters that are being introduced. Now, we did talk about this a little bit in our group chat, saying that like we wish that there was at least a female narrator doing the female voices, because the narrator that is in the audible, you know, reading, he can get like some of his voices sound a little bit similar for some characters, and so I get a little lost when a whole bunch of characters are in one scene. But other than
we could have done that, but it's not an audio drama, which I would have preferred.
Yeah,
that was my thing. Whenever I thought I wasn't gonna like this because I heard it was a narrator. It was just a narrator, because my first experience with Audible was an audio drama with Sandman from the
fucking awesome.
Yeah,
man,
it was great.
Awesome.
And so I'm assuming, you know, me being a newbie at all this, I'm like, oh man, this is what Audible is. This is gonna be great. And don't get me wrong, there's still you get the blaster sounds, you get, you know, all of the other stuff in there, but majority is this narrator doing all of the voices and, you know, telling you what's going on. but it still intrigued me for what it was.
Ashley Eckstein does the narration of the Ahsoka book, and I didn't hear anybody going, "Man, I wish somebody would have done the guy voices when she did it." But so I totally get what you're saying, because I hated in Thrawn when he did Arenda Price's voice, and Arenda sounds like this, and I've already mentioned the fact that Chancellor So sounds like she smokes 3 packs of Liggets a day whenever he gets a Chancellor So. But I get it, but you got to think he's just the narrator, because it's just same. It's you're reading the book. It's just in your head. You're not making a different voice. You know what I'm saying? Like.
And that
I get
was
it's a
another
small
thing.
Nitpick, but like,
these characters we don't have any reference for.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any visual or anything other than the character design that might possibly be for the kids' books or for the comics. We don't have anything that's like, because for me, whenever I read DC, I have a voice. Kevin Conroy's for Batman, Mark Hamill's for Joker. You know, it is what it is. For this, I'm having to rely on this narrator to really bring out that character for this book.
I think
Harry
that's
Potter
something
before the movies. Harry Potter before the movies, it was all just you reading it or the narrator, and it's still people got to.
I think
you know
that's
what I'm saying. I think it's just a small nitpick or personal taste.
It is. And this is very much a first world 21st century problem for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
So when I'm reading this now, because I will be honest, I'm majority a podcast person. I just listen to podcasts. I haven't read an actual physical novel in years, it feels like. I think the last one I read was Ready Player One back in 2017. But reading this or listening to this, I, like you guys, I want to get a physical copy. I was going to go buy a physical copy, and then Katie was like, hey, there's also the audiobook. Maybe you should listen to it. And then if you like it, then buy the physical book. And I think I am invested enough in the book to want to purchase a physical copy for sure.
I tend to agree with that.
Yeah, I think the narrator aspect is something that just, it applies to any most audiobooks you're going to listen to. Like the audio dramas that Star Wars has done, they're all script based. They're not actually written like a book in that instance.
Well, Sandman's the same way. It's not written like a book. It's just dramatized.
Yeah. It's a script. So I think that's just something that some narrators are good at it, and sometimes just a voice doesn't work out that they've picked for it. So,
well, devil's advocate, if you get the hard copy, if you get the actual book of Dooku Jedi Lost, like, it's really weird when you open that up and look, because it's got different names, who's saying it, and it's spread like you're reading like the script basically when you're reading it, because Katie's right, it's a script, but it plays out better in your ears, you know. So,
which is why they didn't initially publish a book with it, was because of that. They decided to publish a script book with it after the fact, because people were like, I would love to consume this, but I can't, like, deaf readers were having
that and the voices, especially if you were so used to like Ventress and Dooku from the Clone Wars, and then you get that book and these voices, they're kind of close, but Ventress is way up and you're like, like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe that was some people and it was just easier for them to read it. So like Clay said, like, he hears Kevin Conroy. I'm the same way. I hear Kevin Conroy when I read Batman, because that's what I grew up with. So maybe it was just easier. Somebody wanted to get the book so they could be like, oh, I can hear Ventress and Dooku from Clone Wars. You know what I mean? And in my own head as I'm reading it.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but anyways, let's talk about the content. So the main item of this, the first 8 chapters were released on StarWars.com, as well as IGN published the first chapter. There are some differences in those chapters that were published between what's in the book, but it's mainly semantics, like planet names, types of animals. So what did y'all think of kind of the first chapter? We won't go chapter by chapter, but like the first chapter, like this is our introduction to the High Republic as a whole. So what about the legacy run, like, I guess, forces you to maintain?
They do the typical Star Wars thing, which I say is a good thing, is they drop you right into the action. Like and now this is a different type of action. We're not right in the middle of a star battle or anything like that, or, you know, like the Tantive 4 being chased down, but they drop you right into the act. Like, you get dropped in, you meet this character, and boom, your event happens. Well, you know, I mean, you barely get in your event happens. So I think that is a plus. And just with the nature of it being described and kind of how it happens, like by the time the chapter's over with, you go, oh, like you may not be hooked right in, but by the end of it, you're going, really? Like, I kind of want to know what happens next. And like I said, I think that's a good thing. The first chapter didn't like really sink it into me, but it definitely gave me enough where I went, oh, well, now I want to know what, follow these steps. And then before I knew it, I was, okay, I get these, one more chapter in before I go, get done working or go home or, do my stuff around the house or whatever.
Yeah. Clay, what about you?
Yeah. When I first listened to this first chapter, I was confused just because, like you said, everything happened super quick. Like you get the beginning of like, hey, this is the ship. These are the people that are inhabiting that ship. These are, this is, just a normal life in, this Star Wars universe type of thing. And all of a sudden, boom, action happens at the very end. And there's no answers to what is going on. Yes. Because everything is happening so quick. And of course, that is a part of the mystery of this book. And so at the end, when it just literally ends, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you can't just end it. Like, okay, next chapter. Let's keep this moving.
Okay. You're right. I forgot to say, like, the way they ended it, where he didn't even get to finish his, it's been an hour or whatever. And it's just kind of like it does kind of leave you on a high note to where you're like, oh, well, I do kind of need to know what happens next, or like,
yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah,
it's a real good point.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement kind of with both of you. Like, the chapter is just like, okay, wait, so the ship is destroyed, but they were in hyperspace.
Yes.
How does this work? And I find it interesting. Oh wait, no, I can't say that. Okay, sorry.
Spoil it. You're about to spoil it. I know. Go ahead, Katie. Keep going. Yeah, I know. Well, just pivot and go around that. Go to your next.
I feel like I know how you were feeling now with Chaos Rising with Thrawn, where I'm like, I want to talk about the end of this book so much, but so the main thing that we kind of get throughout this part is it does kind of drag it down. I feel like where it does kind of lean into more of what recent Star Wars has done in the books, where the first part is a lot of introduction and a lot of setup, but at the same time I feel like this book does it better because there's more action involved, and it's not just plain setting up what's going to happen in the rest of the book. It's okay, there is a meaning, there is a meaning to this setup. There's
not only that, they're also setting up the High Republic as a whole in basically the first 2 or 3 chapters, because we know we know what Star Wars is, but we don't know shit about this era and like the ships, the lingo, all that. So they're doing a lot.
So, and I can get that to an extent because you're setting up a new era. So that's why I kind of gave it more grain of salt, because whereas like in the Aftermath trilogy or Alphabet Squadron, I'm like, okay, why do I need all this setup? We're in the middle of a republic that we know. So that's my main thing with this. The other thing that I was really excited about, and it's been something that I've been missing from canon literature for Star Wars, is Jedi. Like, reading about Jedi in books excites me again.
I love the description of their connection to the Force.
Yes.
In this book. And it
song, a sea, a fire. Like, it's a great description.
I love the idea of and I mean, she is part of the part 1, so I think it's okay to talk about this. I would say main Jedi in this book, but
Chris.
She is very prominent, and she
Isn't
narrator.
She the Grand Master?
No,
isn't she the Yoda?
She's
not the Yoda.
No, because because you've already said it. It is part of part 1. Yoda's name does get dropped.
Oh, and I'm telling you, I'm like a little girl. Like they said, well, maybe Master Yoda. I'm going, oh, like
and the thing is, like, so in the in the review copy of the comic, which I didn't read because I did learn that the comic comes after the novel. I didn't read it, but I did open it. One of the very first pages is the actual timeline of Star Wars as we know it.
Yeah.
It shows the High Republic, then it goes on all the way down through the sequel trilogy. So
That's the order.
I'm just like, how old is Master Yoda at this point? Like, what do we? Oh, it's in the novels as well. That is awesome.
Master Yoda is a spry 700 at this time in the High Republic.
Yes.
Okay, so this is literally,
well, not 700 because he's
right around
roughly 900 in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So
maybe 690, 680, but he's right around 700. That's just my jumping point. Yeah.
So we're looking at about 200 years before.
200 years before the Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace.
That is awesome. Okay.
Yes.
Now I have a clearer timeline. That is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But when
I wish they would have went back a little bit.
I know, for real. When the narrator talks about this song,
200-year-old Yoda
with the Force and it being connected through everybody, and how it just like the lingo for the Force seems so vibrant whenever you hear, like, compared to how you hear about it in, let's say, when the council was fresh in the prequels. They talk about it as, of course, the same way Yoda spoke about it, the way the Mace is just like something that guides us in making our decisions, our way of life, and other things. And this, it almost feels very like they embrace it so much more than probably they do in the future. I'm not sure.
They embrace it in their own ways, the way I interpreted it. Like each Jedi, like you said, embraced it, but it seemed like in the prequels and what we knew, the Jedi were kind of taught to all look at it the same way. These ones, to me, I interpret as like they're encouraged to interpret the Force their own way. I mean, I'm not saying like, Yoda's in the temple saying to Anakin, you will look at the Force like this, but I'm just saying it just seemed like maybe it was more indoctrinated a certain way, but this way is more of like, however you experience it.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. Yeah.
The Jedi Wookiee, the Padawan Wookiee sees it as like a great tree, and Loden Greatstorm sees it as like an endless deep ocean and stuff. You know what I mean? So it's it's really cool.
I love those descriptions. Awesome.
And that they had actually talked about that a lot during, I believe it was the New York Comic-Con panel that they did, where each one talked about how their main Jedi kind of sees the Force. And so Charles Soule talked a lot about how Avar kind of sees it as the song, and music. Loden seeing it as the sea. I forget how Justina Ireland said for Nestor
that
saw
one
it.
lady sees it as a fire, a great fire that needs to be stoked, or the one, it's really cool. Like I said, the Wookiee scene as a tree makes so much sense after you know the Wookiees and like their homeworld and stuff like that. It's really great descriptives.
Yeah. So what did y'all think about kind of the take on battle meditation in this?
Battle feelings.
Battle feelings.
Battle feelings is kind of what I got, which I sure. I do. I really like the old version better of like, I don't know. It's a different era. It's a different person. It's a different way to interpret it. It's fine. But that's the first thing that popped in my mind. It's like, oh, and now we have battle feelings. All right. I get it. I see what we're doing here.
What do you mean?
It was fine.
Battle meditation,
So battle meditation is like in
Avar Chris, what she did.
Yeah. What Avar's doing, kind of coordinating all the Jedi.
Oh, okay.
And battle meditation, it more of applies to everyone as a whole, like kind of directing things and kind of sending out a sense of calm and uniting to everyone, not just Jedi.
I will admit, it felt very grand because, of course, the way they describe it is, okay, she's going into this one specific area. She is, reaching out to every single person. And you kind of get the sense of how strong the Jedi used to be.
Well,
that's one thing I feel like we should be getting in the first place, because as the timeline goes on, I mean, we in the sequel trilogy, we are down to maybe a handful of known Jedi, you know? And, that was the whole point of The Last Jedi is, they're still Force users and blah, blah, blah. But here, they are young, they are strong. And so that battle meditation, although it could be people could probably see it as, it's just kind of a MacGuffin to get the problem to fix. But that's the whole point of the Jedi,
I wouldn't say that, because if you go back to the Bane trilogy, which I highly recommend if you haven't listened to or read it, before Bane institutes the rule of two, there are like Sith. They get into a fight with a Jedi, like they're called like the light something. Basically, the Jedi come and they are three masters aboard this ship, and they go into battle meditation to help calm the Jedi that are already in the fight, to make the Force make their influence or link with the Force greater, to give them greater swiftness and to go with it. But the Sith have the same thing where they have ones that'll sit there, because I can't remember, they're on the Dark Council. There's this one, and she's got people underneath her, but her cronies, basically she goes into battle meditation and puts the fear of God into their opponents to where whole platoons will break and run and go. So like, it's not a new idea, but it's a new interpretation of how they did it, which is why I said I interpreted it as battle feelings this time, because the other ones, like the Jedi, would just kind of like would try to use their thing to make you stronger in the Force. Because I know there's a thing where Bane and his apprentice Reyna are fighting Jedi, and they're going toe to toe until Reyna turns step and kills the Jedi in the battle meditation, and the one that Bane's fighting slows down because their connection to the Forces, and and that's how Bane gets the best of it. So it's not a new concept, but it's in this one, it's a new, like I said, it's a new way to do it, because like you said, she feels and connects to everybody and makes she's basically like a Jedi supercomputer is how I interpreted it, where all the Jedi are networked through her, and she can push her feelings you and take whatever you're, like Baba Yaga, or, Yaga, the Wookiee, and the way he interprets is, we'll get there, that there's life forms in these things, and she runs it to everybody else. Like she reminded me of a Jedi supercomputer, interpreting everybody's feelings. By the way, if you haven't read the Bane trilogy, highly recommend.
I read the first one. I have not read the last two.
All three of them are on my wish list on Audible. So my brother has read them. I know.
There's a free book for you.
See, now it's just like I have to decide, because
I understand.
I'm a huge subscription service guy, and so I'm like, okay, which one do I need to take down this month? And I'll just add it. And then I'll switch it back, and then I'll switch it back.
Well, just to try it. Like I said, just to try. If you sign up just to try and you don't like it and cancel it, you still get 2 free books.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying, they don't take them away from you. If you sign up and you decide it's not for me, you can still get it.
Maybe I should do it in February, so that way I get the young adult book and then the next Star Wars book. Boom, right there. I'll try it. I'll for sure.
What a plug for Audible, by the way. They are not a sponsor, but they should.
We are not sponsored. That's what I wanted to say when y'all first started talking about it. I was like, we're not sponsored by Audible, but Audible, if you would like to reach out,
right?
Come on,
it would be great.
Would be great.
What did you? I like the terminology of the Republic long beams, and the Jedi have vectors. Like instead of starfighters and instead of Republic,
the vectors sound so cool. Have we seen one before?
It's basically so.
Isn't it? It's kind of like the first version of the Jedi cruisers, or you know what I mean? Like I haven't seen anything designed like that, but I thought it was cool. Like the way their lightsabers interact with the controls to be able to work the weaponry and shit, I thought was okay. I said that's pretty fucking cool. How your saber goes in and it works with everything to make everything. That's really cool.
Now, very minor spoilers, just because if they describe what the vectors can do in part 2, is that they describe it as something that could also go underwater. And this very much reminded me of the ship that they were that Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi were handling in Phantom Menace, where Jar Jar Binks
in the Gungans,
yes,
down there,
And I was like, was that one? But no, it couldn't be.
No,
but it's just like the idea of that the Jedi have their own vessels.
Well, Clay, to put it in your world, if you read Boom Studios Power Rangers run, the Triceratops is not only a battle tank, it's a fucking submarine. So
Yes.
come on, really cool. So
Yes.
you know what I mean?
It's very, very cool. I love the concept, and I need to see one in animation or in live action. That's all I'm asking.
I would agree. I would like after reading what I've read, I was like, you know what? I could go with a little short animated movie or an animated series or something. Like, give me a little something to see this in the works.
Which also, like, not gonna say anything about the other parts, but like I said, I'm in the middle of part 2, and I'm very interested in what the Acolyte's gonna be on Disney Plus. Just saying. Like that, it's getting me more and more excited. And this is just the first book, so.
I just had to scroll through all the chapters, kind of because I wanted to talk about one specific part, but then I realized it wasn't in that part. So I scrolled through all the chapters and I was like, is this in here? Is this in here? No, it's not. So we'll talk about it next time.
Okay. Well, I don't know why, but I'm really liking Loden Greatstorm. Like I don't know why. Like
Greatstorm is probably my favorite character.
Mine too. He's my favorite character in the book so far, and I don't know why I connect with it. I just like his no nonsense.
It might be it's probably his snarkiness towards his Padawan, but also,
in the nicest way.
Yes, it very much reminds me of the playful relationship of Anakin and Obi-Wan. The small spurts of what we got in the movies, and I don't know, because you know the one instance in part 1 is that he pushes, or does he push, or does his Padawan actually jump this time? Because I know there's another instance in part 2. But
in part 1 he jumps. You're right. In part 1 he jumps.
In part 1 he jumps, and he seems very calm, right? He seems very calm about the situation because he's focused on what the mission needs to be. But like halfway down, like I just imagine this stupid kid just freaking out of nowhere, you know, and flailing his arms and legs and screaming. And Greatstorm like helps him. He's like, you really need more training. Like, we need to get this fixed, you know? But I love the snarkiness of Greatstorm, but I also love the sternness of Greatstorm. Because, it seems like he could be playful with his Padawan, but when it gets down to business, when he's confronting those security guards, like, he's not playing around.
No.
So it's so good. And when I heard the sound of the lightsaber through my headphones, I was like, oh, this is so good. It's so good.
They're making it a point to emphasize, and I know you can see it on the covers, but emphasize different colors other than red or blue and green being associated with the light side. They are making it a point to make Rey's gold color in there and to make Ahsoka's white, and they're putting it in, which like I said, I'm fine with it. I don't care, like whatever color you get. Like I said, I always thought Mace Windu having a purple lightsaber was cool as hell. So whatever, you know what I mean? Like I don't. But I just noticed they're making it a point to put more of that.
You still can't focus on it. Dang it.
Yeah.
But there's this one works.
I know they've got some. I don't know. Like there's some stuff in here that I was like, okay, I don't think we really need to put that in there. I think that's just to be about the times where they're like, which, I don't know, maybe it just stuck out to me because I think about shit weirder than everybody else's, but like there's these couple of things where like the Wookiee Padawan, oh, he could do it. Nobody was disappointed in him, and it was completely understandable. And like, all right, we get it. The kid couldn't handle it. That's fine. We don't have to focus on how everybody didn't think any less of him and stuff. And then there's one line in there where they're like, and the gruff admiral cedes control of the battle command to Avar Kriss, and there was no there was no struggle or animosity towards it. It was a clean. Stop it! Come on, we get it. And maybe that's just me seeing too much into it. I just thought there was a couple little things in there. I felt like they were trying to drive point the home. Hey, we get along great. We're all the Republican. Look, guys, like it's okay. And be rah rah rah. Like whatever. Well, that's fine.
I can totally see that, but there was. I think they made it a point to do that to show that, like, in the midst of a crisis, there was no time to argue. You know,
right? I just maybe they just emphasize it a bit too much for me. Like I understand being like, I totally get it. Like when we're in a crisis, we're gonna work together and stuff. But like I said, they just kind of, maybe it's just me. I get it. But, you know, it was and nobody was mad because we all understand that sometimes things are a little rough and okay, we get it. Save your Hallmark bullshit for later. Let's go. Get back to the action. That's just me. Those are my only minor nitpicks. And at the very end of the crawl in the first, where they're battling for control of the Force itself. It's not how the fucking Force works, but I get what you're saying, so I'm going to let it slide. I understand what you're implying, what you're going for. That's not how the Force works. But anyway,
Let's have that conversation after part 3.
See, I don't know how you. I mean, y'all probably just like sat there at night and like just like freaking read it as quickly as possible.
I painted my bedroom and listened to it on audio all day Friday.
I drive a truck. I drive a truck for a living, so I've got all day. Like my job every day is to get behind the wheel and listen to the radio or do something.
I used to be able to do that. I am technically, as of right now, between jobs, not in a bad way, but right. I finally left the job that I was able to listen to things 8 hours a day. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm kind of running around doing other things, and I'm listening to it, I think, in about an hour and a half to 2.5 hour spurts. So
that's great though. Yeah, that's actually really good.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't even get that in. They do 20 minutes on their drive to work or whatever. Mm-hmm. So you're still beating the game, really. You're winning.
And that's what I most of the times have to do. I have to listen to it in 20-minute intervals to and from work and then around the house stuff. So, which is also why I prefer hard copies, because then I can just sit down and say, "Hey, I'm reading." And
I know Sarah that's on the network with SES. I know she prefers when she's reading a book to have the hard copy in her hand, but she listens to podcasts and stuff like, you know what I mean? But if it comes to, you know what I mean? So like I said, there's all different types. So,
which is why I'm glad that we live in the times that we do. You can enjoy this content any way that you want.
Right. Exactly.
One of the things that I think Star Wars, especially Alphabet Squadron, has struggled with is telling a story from multiple perspectives and telling different sides of it, and trying to make it one book. Mm-hmm. And I think Light of the Jedi does it perfectly in this instance, because I don't ever I feel like we were introduced to a Jedi still, like Lone Greatstorm. I feel like we were introduced from a wider perspective and then brought in to tell his unique perspective. But we also weren't telling the same parts of a story. We're telling, okay, this is what's happening here and this is what's happening there. They all correlate to the story of Hetzal, but at the same time, they're not the same story being told 5 different ways.
Correct. We went back to those people, but we didn't hear the same story. Yeah, very true.
Technically, the incident and the countdown has nothing to do with Hetzal by the end of the part, because the impact still happens in a different quadrant in a different place and still causes a disaster,
which is insane.
Mm-hmm. We're getting a countdown the whole time and we're going, and they move the Tabana gas and stuff, and then we still get 4 minutes to impact after they move it, because why? On the other side of space, 7 more emergencies came out, and 6 of them, literally nothing, did nothing, but 1 came down and smacked a populated area, and we still get their incident and why, you know what I mean? So it's very well done. Like we're invested in this side, we're invested in Hetzal, and I'm invested in those people and these Jedi and what they're doing, and even the random, husband and wife team who are just wanted to fly along, and they're coming in there with this crazy idea that works. So like I'm invested, but then it's like you go and it's click and boom. They didn't they saved Hetzal Prime and the whole Hetzal system, but man, these guys over here that nobody knew about, there was nothing they could do. There was no Jedi team. There was nobody. They just got smacked.
And what was the number? It was like several billion.
20 million, I want to say.
20 million on that's what I want to say. That's 20 million. Because in part 2, there's something that happens with Bill. Yeah, but I don't want to get into that. But I want to say,
but like I will say, as big of a cliffhanger as that was, and you're like, oh my God, like we spent all this time dealing with the situation that was told to us.
We dealt with,
and then this happens. The one thing that I kind of have a critique for is not getting the reaction to the Jedi for that one instance. We didn't get something like, oh, the Jedi felt it in the Force. That we got the aftermath.
Great point.
And that after
point.
the after part is, of course, in part 2, but you still like at that moment, because we see in the movies and in the cartoons and everything else, when there is a great crisis, the Force is affected in such a massive way. And we didn't get that with the Jedi here. We just heard it or read it or whatever, and it's just like,
I wonder if they didn't want to delve
it like that.
Yeah,
I think that's a good point, but I wonder if they didn't delve into it is because they were placing such strong emphasis on each Jedi seeing the Force differently. And so you could have delved into semantics by doing it that way, but maybe that's why.
Even just doing it with one Jedi, I think.
Avar Chris is your opportunity because the way she feels it and everybody else feels it through her. I'm just saying they could have done it. They made it. She feels feelings.
But like, let's think of Great Storm, or right? Is it Great Storm? Right? Is his name?
Yeah, Great Storm.
Imagine him thinking about the ocean and the waves, and then, of course,
stillness in the ocean or something.
But you also have to think that they had literally just moved the Tabana gas. And
Very
so
true.
they were all exhausted. There's a strong emphasis on Force usage making Jedi exhausted here, depending on how great it is.
That
is true. They lose people. Yeah, so much so that they lose people because of it. One of them falls off a building because they pass out. They use it so much.
Yeah, I think they lost a vessel with, I think, like 1 or 2 Jedi in it. And then, like you said, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you have to think about that too, is that maybe the Jedi on Coruscant wouldn't have been able to feel it necessarily because they weren't in that area. I mean, yes, the Force is great and massive, but you can only do so much with it to an extent. And plus, we hadn't been introduced to those Jedi yet, whereas everyone we had been introduced to is exhausted from moving the Tabana gas or dead.
Yeah.
So
that's a great point. They do emphasize the fatigue that everyone has, except like even what they say, like, isn't it Loden that calls Arnold? Who's the one that Avar in part 2, like she's always with? Who's the one that Avar's always with? Elzar Man. Yeah, Elzar Man. Like, even like they take a time or a second to explain, like, even how he got into reserves of the Force, and he was even, you know what I mean? Like, he puts extra emphasis on him, and then you get Bell. Even Bell is a young Padawan trying to do everything he can, and like they do a good job of showing how it affects every different person there. But I would agree with you that Avar Chris was the perfect way to, as soon as that happens, she could feel it because she's so connected to the song of the Force that there could have been a great quietness. Like, she even describes, like, what am I missing? The Force was trying to tell me there's a quiet area.
Well, didn't she also
the same thing?
It could have kind of teased it if you look back at it, because she did say several times that something else is happening. Now, of course, that could be a tease for other things that are going on in the book in part 2 and 3. But
my interpretation was the Tabana gas. So maybe, but you could be right. Maybe it was that.
Yeah. So I guess it's all depending on how you interpret
from a certain point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to find like the final thing.
Elzar Man. Yeah. So that was his name.
Yeah. So the last part of it where they're kind of involved, it was like Jedi Master Avar Chris fell to her knees there in the field on Hetzal Prime. Her lightsaber hilt, now deactivated, hit the ground a moment later, embedding itself in the soft soil. Avar let herself breathe 2 long breaths, then 3. Then she raised her comm link and said thank you. So
I want to say the Padawan for Great Storm.
Bell Zetamor? Is that
Bell Zetafar.
Yeah.
Zetafar. That's it. Zetafar.
Bell,
is that like a boy named Sue?
I love how like enthralled he still is.
Yeah.
With Jedi, with his master, with even in the future chapters when he meets when he encounters other Jedi, he like sees this like greatness in them and stuff. So I love that viewing of a Jedi because we didn't really get to see that too much other than, oh, that's Master Yoda. That's Master Yoda. He's the greatest, whatever.
Well,
And
we haven't got to see it yet because I would sense Ahsoka really, but that was very early where she was still in wonder, or even Anakin in the Phantom Menace when they're in wonder. But you're right, it is always nice when they appreciate how cool it is. You know what I mean? While they're still doing
even when Great Storm is dealing with the what were they called, the Marauders or
That's
right?
part 2.
No, oh, not them. The people who were trying to get into the ship.
Yeah, I think Katie's right. Yeah, as card two, the ones that came shooting, right? That came barreling through
But
the crowd shooting.
when they first get down onto Hetzal Prime and they're trying to get people onto the ship, and
is that part 2?
No, that
okay.
No, this is all the Hetzal Prime is all part 1.
Yeah, part 1. Even that part when Grey Storm says, "Hey, protect me," and he goes into that battle meditation, and he's reaching out with the Force, and he's flailing everybody up into the air, and describes it as 6 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet, and then he drops them, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh snap! Like, did he just kill all these?
You hear.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, did he just kill all these people? And then the narration right afterward, although they weren't dead, they were incapacitated and all this stuff. And I was like, okay.
That's the audio equivalent to a kid's show, like on the first 2 seasons of Rebels, where they'd shoot a stormtrooper and you'd see the foot barely move, and you hear, oh, because they didn't want him to be dead because it was still on Disney Plus before they got in season 3 and 4 when they were like, you know what, fuck it, we're going Clone Wars level. You know what I mean? But it was it was the audio equivalent to that.
And like him being able to have his moment of protecting his master, even with the security guards trying to take their chance to take them out
and being unsure. Yeah, and even when in his own head he's working his head like, master, you know what I mean? He just I agree with you. I thought that was really cool. I like Loden and Bell are my 2 favorites so far. Mm-hmm. And I like Elzar Man, and actually the further I get, the more I'm starting to get to know about Chris, the more I'm getting there, but that's we'll get into that as we go.
I technically
right now,
just to say it, I'm technically just now getting introduced to Elzar Man. So,
because he gets a little portion in part 1, but his story
definitely gets more exploration. Yeah, definitely gets more exploration in 2.
Yeah.
But the part 1, like I said, Loden and Bell are my 2. I don't know why. They're the ones I connected with the most. They're the one that was most interested in their story. And even going into part 2, I'm still the most interested in what these 2 are doing. So
I think I think they all, they may be a little bit more emphasized though, because as of right now, even in part 2, I think there's only 2 Padawans, Bell and the Wookiee.
I want to say Baba Yaga, but that's not it. It's not Baba, because that's a fucking mystical. It's something Yaga something.
Yeah, but
Buri
I think
Buri Yaga. See, you roll your eyes when I say Baba Yaga. That's a real creature. That's a real fictional demon creature in cultures.
But I think those 2 are the only Padawans at the moment. So we don't really have anybody else that has that type of relationship. So I think that's probably why we are a little bit more gravitated towards Great Storm and Bell, is because, okay, this is something that we're kind of familiar with Obi-Wan and Anakin and Ahsoka. And so it's like, okay, maybe we can get something like that with these 2. And it's probably why we're gravitating towards it so well.
That's true. I always like that. I liked Barriss and her master when they were together in Clone Wars. I liked when Kit Fisto had his Padawan. I do like that master.
And then also I can't forget, because I'm going through it right now, but Kanan and Ezra, all the same type of relationship,
Yeah, I didn't even think of it like that, but you bring up a great point. Maybe that is why I'm invested in them. So far they are my 2 favorite characters. And like I said, as it goes further in, I don't hate anybody in this book so far. There's not one person where I hear him come on, I'm going, oh, you know what I mean? So that's a plus. I hadn't even looked at it like that. Well, so far I'm invested in almost every character.
Call it controversial if you want, but you can very much hear it in the audiobook. Katie, you're listening to it. Are you listening to it also, Nathan? You're
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm listening.
I think it was either chapter 2 or 3. I can't remember the character's name, but I immediately listened to his voice and I was like, oh my God, did they create a Trump character in here? But he was a little bit more noble and like actually
I know exactly the character you're talking. I can't remember his
he's
name.
the one.
But I know
He's the one that
exactly who you're talking
he's
about.
the one
He
that
was talking about the money and all. Yeah, like I.
But
Yes.
also there was a moment where he was like, they were like, okay, we need to go. We need to get on the ships. We need to, evacuate. And he's and he looks at his wall and he remembers his old farm days. And he's like, no, I think I'm going to stay here. And somebody needs to make sure that everybody hears about this. And,
the rooted and the fruited moon. I don't know why every time I heard of the fruited moon, I just got a little chuckle of myself. I don't know if that's because I'm a kid of the 90s. I grew up in the 90s and that's something that it would have died. But every time I just chuckled to myself, the fruited moon.
But
I have no idea why.
Was it Mr. Eka?
The prime minister of the health system.
Yeah. He was the one that did the broadcast to warn it. Like,
I would say you could
calm everybody. Yeah.
I would say you could maybe say the voice sounded like Trump, but to me, he didn't seem anything like
No,
Trump.
that's the thing. That's the thing. So when you first hear him,
you get into part 2, and there's a character that if we're gonna make a connection, reminds me more of that in part 2.
But in this chapter, you hear him, and because of the audio, you kind of get that vibe. But his demeanor and what he is doing is not that vibe whatsoever. So I was kind of worried when I first heard him, and I was like, oh no, like, how are people going to react to this? But when you see what he's actually doing, actually wanting to helping people and everything else.
He builds a space wall in the hyperspace lane, and I see where you got it. I mean, that's a hard comparison.
Yeah.
Hyperspace walls. I know, guys. I know.
But Nathan, have you covered everything you want to talk about? Same with you, Clay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. They did cover it very, very quickly. I think the first chapter was 3 hours until impact, and then it went all the way until 10 minutes of impact. I think it went very, very smoothly. I really enjoyed it. The little hand-to-hand confrontation was still very, very exciting. But even with the not so action-packed parts that were just dramatized with, okay, we need to figure out how this is happening, how we can help, even though this seems on a very, very grand scale, it seemed very impossible. And the one thing that, even I think it was at the end of chapter 2, you heard the holocron, talk about how, they heard the voice of hope and it was the Jedi. Like, I thought that was a really cool line. It was very, very cool for me. This is technically the first Star Wars, book that I have read in, gosh, I want to say probably 10 years. So it's gotten me to just jump all in. So
I will say what you said about it being covered fairly quickly. Chapter 1 starts with 3 hours to impact, and then chapter 17 says 4 minutes to impact. And that's a pretty wide range of coverings, in my opinion, because you can't cover all 3 hours. And so just breaking it down into that effect, how they did, I thought they did it really well.
I was going to say, Katie, I agree with you. I thought spacing the 3 hours out over 18 chapters, I thought they did a good job. It kept me invested the whole time. It kept me reeling in as we got closer to the disaster. I will say, like I said, I think it's a great introduction. They've Charles D definitely gets the universe. Like I said, I felt like there was a little bit of kind of nothing in here to turn me off. But like I said, my little nitpicks of the feelings and everybody's great and whatever. It's nothing to turn me off. I did like I said, I'm invested in a couple of these Jedi so far. I like the new vehicles and stuff. And like I said, barring something tragically wrong end or whatever, like I would say I think this is a good start to because I know part 2, when they get more introductions to new people, they even bring back a name that connects us to the sequel trilogy, really. But like you get into it, like it's good. I would recommend it. It's a good introduction. I look forward to seeing. I haven't even finished it, but I look forward to see what Charles is, where he's going in this Star Wars universe. Because, like I said, if you haven't read the 2017 Vader run that he did, phenomenal. I would highly recommend you pick that trade up because it takes place like minutes after Revenge of the Sith and talks about how Vader gets his red lightsaber, which I know doesn't sound fascinating, but it is fascinating. It's a great read. I would highly recommend you read that. And I'm just saying I like what Charles is doing, and this book is it's a good introduction. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to talk about the rest of it and finish it so Katie can give me all her spoilers. But I'm even ready to talk about what's happening in part 2 because part 2 I think shit really heats up.
Yeah.
Well, we will be talking about part 2 and part 3 the next Star Wars Alliance episode, which will be in 2 weeks. So this podcast is dropping on the 14th on Thursday, and then we'll be back on the 24th live to talk about parts 2 and 3 of Light of the Jedi, which that episode will drop in podcast feeds the 28th. So just to kind of give y'all some dates. But Clay, why don't you tell us where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Fanboy Clay on Twitter. In my bio, I have a link tree to all of my shows, which include Fanboy Comics Podcast, the Batman News Weekly Podcast, Comic Book Legion Podcast, the Marvel, I almost forgot it. Weird Science of Marvel Podcast, and the Ranger Alliance Podcast here at the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network.
Did you just take Greg down for the most podcasts?
I think
you just torched Greg.
I think we're neck and neck right now.
Because you're on 4.
I'm on 5.
4.5 every week.
And a half.
4.5 every week. Yes.
Yeah.
But a total of 5. See,
And
I think Greg has more because he's doing it constantly. Mm-hmm. But as far as the actual number of podcasts, we're neck and neck.
Nathan, they can find you here Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. or Super Civil Servants on Friday nights.
Because I think I said this on Super Civil Servants, but I think that my time with Twitter and social media is behind me because if I want to continue to like books and stuff, I can't see all the play. And I'm going to say this again. Every single person at Star Wars or Lucasfilm, DC, Marvel, please, all of you get off Twitter because you make me all want to hate all of you and punch all of you in the throat. Male, female, it doesn't matter. You're all fucking silly. Stop it. Put your social media away. That's all I can say. But no, you can't find me anywhere. You can find me here. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring us down.
Again.
Yeah, you can find us here.
You can find me on Twitter at Slice of Katie. This show.
Still not used to it yet. I'm still waiting for Katie Gilstrap. With your little way to emphasize and stuff, but I'll get used to it.
Gilstrap 13. Nope, It's at Slice of Katie. And so that is my new Twitter handle. Go check me out there.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
On your elopeness.
I am enjoying every minute of it.
I bet you are.
Podcast listeners, you can't see, but I'm shaking my head. This show you can find on the Twitter at Star Wars Alliance without the 8 and the wars. My other show at Slice of Film is at Slice of Film 1. Slice of Film is the name of the podcast. Don't know what I'm going to do next on that show. Got some things in the works though. So if you want to come watch a movie with me, come do it. If you've got questions about the High Republic, my plan, like I said earlier, is to read the middle grade, young adult and adult books, maybe even possibly dive into the Marvel comic. But that is going to be the max of my abilities until the graphic novel comes out.
I'm going to pick and choose, and I'm sorry, guys. I'm just letting you know. I'm going to bounce around to what I think sounds good.
You've got to read the adult and the young adult book. Yeah. So you've got to at least read those two.
Okay, and somebody get on Katie to watch Gremlins for Slice of Film because she'll definitely know what I'm talking about as soon as she sees that picture and she watches that movie. She needs to watch Gremlins.
I'll get it done eventually. Mm-hmm. But on that note, join us back here in 2 weeks And yeah, that's about it. Have a good day or night, whatever time of day you're listening or watching, and we'll see y'all next time. May the force be with you.
We are all the Republic.